Welcome everyone, I'm Andrea, your automated trader. If you like what I do, don't forget to leave a like on the videos and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the new videos I'll be making. In this video, we won't be looking at an expert advisor that trades automatically, but instead we'll analyze a small tool I've developed to allow for manual trading. So it's something that can help you with discretionary trading, which pretty much everyone does. This tool is very simple and is basically used to enter a position without wasting time calculating lot sizes, specifying where the stop loss and target should go, and whether you want to place a pending order or a market order. Basically, with just 3 or 4 simple buttons, you can do all of this extremely quickly. Of course, this is not a trading system, but it's something that can give you a big help in manual trading because even this can make a strategy much more profitable because you don't waste time, you never get the lot sizes wrong, you never make mistakes. The lot size is handled automatically, so you minimize the chance of making mistakes when you need to enter a position. Now let's take a look directly at the code of this expert. So let's analyze how our panel works for entering a position. The first thing we do is open a chart. So for example, let's open the USD JPY chart. So we open the window, go to window chart, and now we have our chart. Here we already have some trades open, but that's fine. We're just going to test the panel. We insert our expert advisor. As always, we need to make sure that allow algo trading is enabled here so it can work. And we click OK. At this point, it opens. Our little panel appears at the top. What do we enter in this panel? Just one number, which is the percentage risk. So in this case, now just to try it out, I'll set a risk of 0.5%. After that, I have several options. I can place a pending buy order, a pending sell order, or a market order. How does it work? Let's enlarge the chart. Okay, let's go. On the chart, we see that we have two lines. One is red and one is white. The red one is our stop loss, so we automatically set a stop loss. We double click on the red line. A little dot appears, and from there we can move it wherever we like. For example, in this case, we want to place the stop loss below this low, and then we want to enter the position. Maybe a buy at the breakout of a certain level that we identify with the white line, and as usual, also the white line. Double click on it, then there's a little square and you can move it. Let's say we want to enter here. As we've set up our chart now, we have a stop, loss on the red line, and an entry position on the white line. Now in the expert, I've set a ratio. Risk-reward 1-to-1, so automatically it will set the target above the stop loss at a 1-to-1 ratio. So for example, let's go ahead and place a buy order. If I press the buy order, it does it automatically. The expert will figure out whether it needs to place a buy stop or a buy limit by identifying where the stop is, the loss, and where the entry is. So like in this case, I press buy, and it has placed our order, which we can see here. So it has executed our buy. Stop, it calculated the lot size of 0.25 to have a 0.5 loss. If we look at the stop loss, which it placed exactly below the red line, the same goes for sells with all the different pending orders we want to use now. In this case, let's go ahead and remove the pending order. Then if we want to place other orders, all we have to do is move these lines and we can make our entry. For example, if we set up a condition like this, it will automatically decide which order to place. For example, let's do a sell, and it has placed our sell limit because the stop loss was above the entry price. So same as before. Now let's remove the sell. And you can go ahead, choose your levels, and with one click, you can enter a position directly. Another interesting thing is the market order. And here it works the same way. So I don't use the line. I leave the white line at a certain point since it's not being used anyway. The only thing I set is the stop loss. Let's put the white line here. For example, if I set up a situation like this where the stop loss is below my current market price, if I press market, it will make a buy entry because the stop is below the current price. So let's try it. And it made a buy with a stop. If we look here, let's move the stop loss slightly. Let's go back there. We have a stop loss, which is about 0.5% of the account. Here I have an account of more than 30,000 euros. So 177 euros. Yes, that's reasonable. That's about what we should lose to make it 0.5%. Now let's go and close the position. And it's the same thing if we want to, for example, set the stop higher. Loss, it's clear that then it will adjust accordingly. The calculation, you see that the stop loss is higher and it will execute a sell. We're not going to test the whole program, but basically this is what it does. It gives you a big help in entering a position. You don't need to do all those size calculations, go to the website or use Excel, which might cost you those 3 or 4 minutes during which the market moves and you end up entering the position badly. Or do you want to place a pending order? You don't need to do all the calculations for the size, where to put the stop, where not to put it. Maybe I made a mistake. I wrote pips instead of points, made a bit of a mess. This calculates it automatically. Are you sure? Just press a button. Have you calculated everything? Now let's take a look at the code behind this simple panel for entering a position. So this is the code. Let's analyze it in detail. I'll tell you right away that I didn't spend much time on the graphics, also because it's not something I use very often. So for me, it's quite complicated to create those fancy graphic panels. I tend to focus more on substance, so I just add the buttons I need, the fields I need, so that it works. Then even if it's not visually appealing, as long as it does its dirty work, it doesn't matter. So here we have the usual and standard properties that are automatically added and included when you initially create the file. Then subsequently, we've carefully included all these various sections here, which are precisely the ones that thoughtfully let you conveniently add the main panel, the essential controls, the interactive buttons, the edit functionality, and so on, providing comprehensive customization options. We define the names of the two lines, the red one, let's say, and the white one that we saw on the chart. So one is the SL line, the stop loss line, and the other is the entry line. Here we then go on to define a name for the various buttons and for the risk, which is that field you can write in. And the name of the app for the whole panel, which is pending. Here we have the usual lines that we always include at the beginning of the code, which are the ones that allow you to make trades. Because we load trade.mqlh and manage positions if we want to have information about the positions. In this case, maybe we don't need the position, but I always prefer to include it at the beginning because when I start programming, I don't know exactly where I'll end up. So maybe I'll need it, maybe I won't. One extra line of code doesn't cost anything. Here we go and define our two lines. So we actually have the object on the chart, which are these two. And then here we add the buttons. We have the definition of all the names, the buttons, the risk, everything we need. In it, we get the crucial ask and the bid because it is quite obvious that we absolutely need the current prices to effectively enter a trading position. And then we have this whole block at the beginning that defines the panel. So it's all in it. Now I'm not going to go into detail about all these lines of code. Maybe you are even better than me at managing panels, so you already know how it works. But if not, basically, this is the block that defines the stop line. Loss, so I pass it the name, the initial position. I set it a bit below the price so it doesn't get in the way, so I can see it and select it. So that's what goes here. True, the color, this is the line for the color. So if you want to change the color, go here and instead of CLR red, set another color and the thickness. I set the thickness to 3 so it's clearly visible. The same goes for the other line, the white one. So you have the same parameters. This time I set it a bit higher, minus 200 points. And that's it. These are the two lines. After that, this is the one that actually creates the panel. Here you have the information related to the field where you enter risk, button, buy, button, sell, and market button. Here the buttons are all the same, so you just pass the position to the name. Here you have all the coordinates for the button's dimensions, its placement within the panel. We have the text, which is what appears on the button. So here it's a string. You can define it however you like. I named it this way, so I know it's the pending buy. The text color is yellow, so if you don't like yellow, choose another color. And the background color of our button, which I chose as gray. Anyway, pick the colors you prefer. And this line is the one that adds the button, either the line or the field itself. Let's say we're going to analyze it. So in this case, it's clear. The only thing I added is the destruction of the entire panel. So when I close it, it automatically removes the panel for me. Otherwise, the panel would stay on the chart even though it no longer works. Let's take a look at the non-tick events in OnTick. Here we don't have anything because we're not trading, so I didn't put anything. Everything else goes into on-chart event, which is a function used to manage specifically our chart and our panel. So here I pass it the various variables I need. Here I have the very first line of the significant event. What exactly occurs on the visual chart? And then I start making it do something. When does this happen? When I click on a button. So this is the click event. What happens? Within the click event, we can insert all our buttons. So we have the first button, which is the buy button for the pending order. So here we define that if a click happens on our buy button, we set the percentage risk equal to the value that was in our risk text field, so in our input field. So if it takes the risk value, we save it inside this variable. After that, here I still retrieve the ask and the bid. I define the stop loss, which as I do, I take and insert into this stop loss variable, which is equal to the value of the H line. So from the line I had inserted, then I normalize it because by taking it from the line, it might have more digits than I need. I do the same thing to get the entry from the other line. In fact, this one is called stop loss and this one is called entry. After that, I also prefer to normalize the entry so that I have the correct number of digits. What am I checking here? Basically here I have to decide what kind of pending buy to make. So if the ask is less than the entry, I'll go ahead and place my buy stop. I define the take profit, which as I told you, I always do, at a 1-to-1 ratio. So entry plus entry minus stop loss. So 1-to-1. If you want to use a different take profit, because maybe you have other strategies, just modify this line and set the risk reward ratio you prefer. Or if you want to further improve the expert, add a new field to the panel with the label risk reward ratio. I didn't need this. I prefer to set it up this way. Then, if for some trade I want to make a change, I can always manually move my target after I've placed the trade wherever I want, since it's not like I'll hit my target in a second. Here I define the lot size. As usual, I use my function that I always put at the end, the one we've already seen in all the other videos, which is this one here. I'm not going to explain it to you now. I've already explained it in other videos. Anyway, basically I pass it the stop loss and the risk. And I go ahead and calculate my lot size. So the only difference I made in this program is that I calculated the lot size. I take the maximum lot and then I calculate. If I'm below the lot size, great, I go ahead and make my trade. If I'm above the maximum lot size, then I split the trade into several successive trades. This is necessary because for some CFDs, the maximum lot sizes are very small. So sometimes I have to place 2 orders to cover what I need. Let's say that basically it's simple, because if I'm below the maximum lot size, I just make 1 trade, or if the lot size is greater than the maximum lot size, I calculate how many trades I need to make to cover the lot size I've determined. For example, if I've calculated a lot size of 15 and the maximum lot size is 6, I'll make 1 trade of 6, another of 6, and 1 of 3. This is what you do in this block of code. Then maybe you don't even need it. It depends on how big your account is. But it's something that's implemented. And if you reach the maximum lot size, it splits the positions for you. We do the same thing if the price is higher than our entry point. So instead of placing a buy stop, here we'll place a buy limit. Again, I set the take profit, I set the lot size, I check the maximum lot size and see. I check whether I need to make 1 trade or split it into 2 or 3. How many will there be? Sell button. It's the same procedure we did for the buy. So when you click the sell button, we take the percentage risk from the panel. We set the ask, we set the bid stop, the stop loss is taken from the line, we normalize, we take the entry value from the white line, and we normalize the value. And then, just like before, if the bid is higher than the entry, we go ahead and execute the sell. Everything here is basically the same, except that instead of buy, it becomes sell. So we've set the take profit, defined the lots and the maximum lot size. We read it from our chart. If we're below the maximum lot size, we do a single trade. If we're above the maximum lot size, we split it. Here's something I haven't mentioned. As you can see here, all the pending orders, I created them with the lot sizes, the entry value we've defined on the charts, symbol, stop loss, target, order time, GTC 0. So at the end of the day, they get deleted anyway. In this way, with these two parameters, you ensure that at the end of the day, they are deleted. So if you forget about them, they won't be executed or left there. The last field is the one I always use, the comment, which I really like. Adding a comment and knowing which strategy I'm using, in this case I've called it Andrea's strategy, which is the one I use, sometimes even manually, so that on the account, I know that these trades are all the ones I've done manually and I won't mix them up, maybe with other automatic or different trades. Here you have the next part. Again, as before, bid lower than entry. So I go and set up the sell limit, always using the same logic. Everything is the same. The only difference is that it's not a stop, it's a limit. Market button. This is a bit different because we're going to market. So as always, we click the button, we take the risk from our panel, we take the ask, we take the bid, we set the stop loss, and we normalize it. If the stop loss is lower than the ask, then we go for a market buy. We set the take profit as the price plus the price minus the stop loss. So the risk reward ratio is 1-to-1. We calculate the lots with our function that we saw earlier, and we read the maximum lot value for this symbol that we're trading. And as before, we go for a market buy, or if it's higher than the maximum lot, we make several buys. Buys are split in this way. If instead the stop loss is higher than the price, it's clear that we need to do a sell, and here we have the part related to selling. So here too, we define the target, lots, maximum lot, we check whether we need to split or not, and we enter the position with a sell. Here, as I told you at the end, after I've closed the whole section with the buttons, there's our function for calculating the lot size. As I mentioned, this is not a program that does trading, but it's a program that can be very useful if you do discretionary or manual trading because it saves you a lot of calculation time. You don't waste time calculating position sizes by hand in Excel. The site does everything automatically. You can't make mistakes when setting pending orders, so that will never happen. For example, you might need to place a sell stop, but instead you place a sell limit or something like that, and this helps you be faster and more accurate. And this, perhaps in the long run, is something that helps your strategy work. Definitely better. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you'll stay updated and won't miss the new videos I'll be posting in the coming days.